Good morning, everybody. It looks like I'm frozen on the screen. Am I frozen to you? Now I'm back. I was like,
Now you're back.
Yeah, I was frozen. I don't know if you could hear me, but good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about continue our series on launching your own private label item on Amazon or your own brand, your own product. And this part of the series is we are talking about once you have actually decided on your item, if you're getting it from Alibaba, how to set up your shipping from your supplier to Amazon.
Yes, so today we're going to go through all of the shipping from start to finish, how to select your items, get them in, do a case pack, set up the addresses, and then, hey, Reno, nice to see you this morning. And then get that, getting it shipped over. I did forget to pull international slides. That's what I'm missing. I knew I was missing something this morning, but I can get those in a moment here while we're talking. We did want to talk just a second, though. We were talking earlier about Bridgerton, and it, you don't have to watch these things to be in the know. Like I know a lot of people who are not Bridgerton fans. You might not be watching that, but I thought it would be a good idea to kind of share what's going on in that world right now. I know at my store, the Bridgerton scone kit is available, or at least it was a week ago when I was at the grocery store. It is not currently for sale right now. So if you guys want or can sell Betty Crocker and want to kind of look at that, maybe scan that next time you are at the grocery store, look for a little bolo there. At the height last year, it was going for $16.99. And I know at my grocery store, it was like $3. So could be some profitable stuff there. It is not in stock. But it got me thinking. I did just a quick search on Bridgerton items and came up. There was 3 items that were really good private label items that are the type of items you really ought to start with if you were starting private label. They are cheap, inexpensive, easy to find a vendor for. It hits a lot of boxes. And you can probably start with a very low amount and investment into that world. So first one up here, glitter teapot, cake cup toppers. What you will notice, and I think all 3 listings, is none of them say Bridgerton. But when I searched Bridgerton, I can't remember what I searched, Bridgerton like cake or something, they came up, which means they are in that generic keyword section, which is how you have to do it. You cannot put, cannot and should not are 2 different things here. You may get flagged if you put Bridgerton in the name for IP. And if you don't get flagged right away, you probably will get flagged later. So that's why you put it in the back end generic keywords, because that's where you can put those types of words that will get flagged for IP without getting flagged for IP issues. So I bet you dollars to donuts, they have Whistledown, they probably have Bridgerton, those types of things in the back end. I like how they put in tea party, baby shower, wedding, birthday. I would almost put Mother's Day or high tea in here as well. They did not put high tea, but high tea parties are kind of coming back. I know we've done a couple in my family. They're just kind of fun and, fun to do and coming back a little bit. So we've got these golden teapots. We've got edible cherry blossoms. So this you would need to have food grade things. But again, there is several events going on. I know Chinese New Year is coming up. We've got cherry blossom festivals going on. There's a lot of keywords in there besides Bridgerton that would be good. They got bridal and shower and baby shower, a lot of different things that these edible flowers would be good for. And if you don't want to do edible flowers, these could be good for decor and craft as well if you got non-edible flowers. And then these plates I thought were adorable. They're very tea-esque. And we can see here they did really good pictures. I like how this breaks down the size and all of that. They've got some in use. And they're probably all generated with AI. I don't see these being a Photoshop or, somebody did a photo with them. What do you think, Tina?
Well, they may or may not have the brand of this. Talking Tables is a very well-known brand. I've met with their rep at trade shows here in Vegas at the World Market Center. So I'm familiar with this brand. So they could have been professionally shot just because they are a big brand. Maybe not. Big brands don't necessarily not Photoshop type of stuff themselves. But talking on the topic of Bridgerton and its increasing popularity over the last couple of years, maybe this is an item that you have found on Alibaba that you are kind of chasing that crowd of people. You could be putting those keywords into your listing. And now we can talk about actually getting these items shipped after you've ordered them into Amazon, how to set up that shipping.
Yep. All right. So hold on one second. Let me make sure I'm on the right slide because I was bouncing around. Do the slideshow here. Okay. So we're going to start with basically your inventory. From your inventory, manage all inventory section, you can click on the 3 dots and say send to, I'm going to kill our faces. There we go. And hit send or replenish inventory. You can also go over here and select several. So let's say you want to do, the first 3. Down at the bottom, a little blue button is going to pop up, and then you can hit send to inventory. The other thing you can do here is go to listing status. You can select all or FBA, inactive, active. You can sort by fulfilled by Amazon, fulfilled by merchant to kind of select as well. So I usually, my go-to is just to get the first one going, because on the next page, you will be able to go and search by title and add different ones into the shipment. So the first thing I want to go dissect this page here. Sorry, I got a little frog in my throat this morning.
Time of year.
We've got, when you hit that first button, let's see, you hit send to replenish inventory, it's going to pop you to pre-selected SKUs. And in this scenario, it looks like I did 9 at a time. And you can jump over here to SKUs ready to send, so you can see what's in your order already. And then you can go all FBA SKUs. Okay, so I typically will select some, put in the thing, and then go through all my SKUs, depending on which account I'm working in. You can upload a file. I never do that, but you could, I guess. Ship from address. This is where if you are shipping from Alibaba, you're going to say ship from another address. We're going to dive into that a little bit more later. Marketplace destination. So in this case, we're going to ship to the United States, but if you do other countries, you can select other countries there. And then you can filter to show only SKUs with case pack template, which is nice if you, let's say you do retail arbitrage in the US and then you have case packs from China and you just want to see your case pack SKUs, you can filter by that. All right, then you're going to go through, you're going to have your SKUs here. They will say out of stock if it's out of stock, but I wish this page would show you how many you have in stock, because that'd be helpful, in my opinion. But does Amazon ever update things that are useful? Not as much. On the right, they will say if it recommends a quantity. So in this case, they recommended 13. I just rounded it up to 15. If you have items that are using not the manufacturer barcode, you're using your Amazon barcode, you will have this button that says save by using manufacturer barcode. And that means that I have the option to swap over that barcode. You can only do that if your inventory is at 0 though. Okay. So you have to kind of run out of stock and then swap over the barcode. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So try to set up your items correctly the first go around. We have prep required. And in this case, these items do not need prep. But when you first add your private label item in here, you will have to go in and you will need to update your prep requirements. Prep requirements are really simple. You'll click on this and you'll be given a little drop-down list that says, is it on a hanger? Is it need a poly bag? Are you going to prep it, or is Amazon going to prep it? It's very simple walkthrough. Let's say you're selling baby blankets and from the manufacturer in China, they are not going to put it in a poly bag. You will then need to pay Amazon to prep that item for you and pay that fee, which is around 50 cents an item, give or take. Now, let's say you're doing the glitter cupcake toppers, glitter teapot cupcake toppers. and you don't need any prep, then you would just select no prep required. Let's see here. What else? Glass is kind of the other one that I run into a lot. If you're shipping glass items and you need extra prep on glass, then you'll want to make sure that that prep requirement is done correctly. All right. From the ship from address, this account just has one ship from address, but you can add another anytime you want. So you can also adjust the operating hours. So again, if it's coming from the manufacturer, maybe you want to add in their operating hours. You'll have their ship from address. You can make these the default address or a secondary address. So that way, when you're doing, let's say you're doing retail arbitrage and you do a private label item every 3 months, you'll want to have whatever your retail arbitrage ship from address as the default, and then your other ones as not the default. Same with like if you're running a prep center. And it's really simple. You just click this add contact and fill out the address information. We're going to circle back this on the very end because I'll show you how to dissect a Chinese address, which
that's the biggest thing is shipping from another country into the US is the setup is different than us just shipping, say, from a prep center into Amazon. The setup is completely different, but similar.
Yeah, the addresses over there dissected a little bit different. Okay. So now I did do screenshots of this. I didn't think so. All right, we're going to click on individual units. And let's say, sorry, not individual units. You're going to click the little pencil here to do case pack. And this is what the case pack template looks like. You're going to set it up for the ASIN. Pick a template name. I just put like case of 20 or case of 24 or whatever makes sense for the item. Template type is going to be case pack. Units per box would be 24 in this instance. Dimensions, you're going to get this from your Chinese manufacturer. I'm just going to say Chinese manufacturer because that's what most Alibaba is, but it could be, they have Mexico in there too now. So whatever it is, they're going to send you the case pack information most likely over into centimeters. When you get those dimensions, you're going to go to Google and you're going to type in centimeters to inches, convert it over, and round it up. So let's say that it comes in at 18.6 inches from whatever they sent you centimeters. You're just going to round that up to 19 because they don't do point whatever. You just have to round up. Same with weight. Let's say they give you kilograms and it turns out to be 15.6 kilograms. You're going to round it up to 16 pounds. All right. So you got to do a little bit of conversion on those guys. So I think I don't know if you can see my cursor. Can you see my cursor?
I do. Yep, I do. Yes.
Apologies there. All right. Once you get all your items in and you're like, okay, I have all my items in, you scroll down to the bottom here and you can do a couple of things. If you need to print labels for your items, there'll be a button down here that you can print all of your labels out at one time. If you're doing Alibaba, this is important. You're going to want to print those to PDF and you're going to send those labels over to your manufacturer if you're using Amazon labels. If you're using UPC codes and the UPC codes are printed on your product, you won't have anything like this. It'll be like this. You won't have that button. But let's say you did G10 exemption or you're not using your UPC codes for whatever reason, you're going to have a print label here. You can also go to your inventory and print labels from there. But this is kind of nice because it will give them all of the labels at one time. And then you will hit this pack individual units. On this page, you can see here on the right, it's view or edit, and each box will drop down. So step one is confirmed. In this instance, we were shipping in 33 different SKUs, 164 units. Ship from, you're going to see the address of where it was shipping from. You can bounce between or rename your workflow. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll rename the workflow to whatever I want to rename it as. You can bounce between different workflows by clicking active workflows. So let's say you're working on your Alibaba shipment and then you want to ship in your retail arbitrage items. You're going to bounce between your workflows right there. You can also start a new workflow. And then you can go back and view and edit your items. So let's say I was shipping in 33 SKUs and oh shoot, I don't want one in there. I want to go delete it. You'll go back and do that. All right. And then it's going to want how are we shipping in? If everything fits in one box in this scenario, you just click everything fits in one box and you're going to enter in the dimensions and hit confirm packing. But let's say there's other ways. You can enter through a web form. You can do upload Excel file. You can manually process for 15 cents a unit. Don't suggest that. That's kind of the worst one to do. But let's say you run a prep center, or you send all your items to a prep center and you let them do all the doing. Maybe you're doing high-end shoes and 15 cents a unit is really not that bad. And you just say, put them all in whatever box and pay the 15 cents. I don't think you can fit more than like 20 pairs of shoes in a box. That might even be generous there. Depending on your inventory, I typically will enter in through the web form or everything in one box. That's kind of the two biggest ones. I struggle with the upload Excel file. I never really had any accounts that I got really good at doing that one. And then 2D barcodes, I haven't really played with. And then I have done a lot of scan to pack. Have you done the 2D barcodes? I know. Casey.
No, I usually do enter through a web form because I generally send in 5 boxes at one time. When I work with clients that are shipping from factory to Amazon, a lot of times it ends up being more of a pallet situation and less of a 5-box situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. If you click on view contents, this will tell you all of the things. So SKUs needed to prepping by seller, which would be us. And I didn't really have anything. All of them were no prep needed. SKUs that need labeling, nothing, because they were all manufacturers. I don't have any expiration dates. And you can download this pick list, which is very important. If you're giving this to a prep center or something, downloading a pick list is good to know, because they may ask for that and then they'll go pick your products to get them shipped in. This is the web form. So your SKUs will be over here. You'll have 0 out of 5 selected, 0 out of 6. And then in this scenario, I have 3 boxes. You tell it how many boxes you're going to have. So in this scenario, I have 3 boxes, and you'll want to say, did you put, 2 in this box, 3 in this box, all 5 in this box, however you want to sort it out. And then at the bottom, you're going to need to put in the box dimensions. And in this scenario, I've got 3 different sizes of box. If you all have just one box size, that's great. You're going to just put in one box size, and you'll click the blue check box on all 3 and put in the weight. If you have 3 different sizes, because you're reusing boxes, or maybe just have different boxes laying around that you want to reuse, you'll put in all the different box sizes.
And to get it to drop down another box, I do want to mention that, because the very first time years ago when I did a shipment like this in Amazon, I thought they all had to be the same size because I overlooked that blue letters that say add another box dimension. Because when this screen opens, it's only that top row. And all that you will see right underneath box dimensions in black is the blue that says add another box dimension. You have to click that as many times as you need boxes opened. Yes.
And that's a good point there. The other thing I have to say is don't accidentally hit this reset form. Try to hit save. I wish they'd move that button a little. I did that once. And I'm like, dang it. I do want you to talk for just a second on the 5 boxes and why you do that, because I think that's important these days. Tina.
Oh, you're asking me. Oh, yeah. So, for those of you that are, shipping into Amazon who are newer to the Amazon game, Amazon will charge a placement fee if you are sending your items in less than 5 boxes. Amazon wants 5 identical boxes shipped. And so when I say 5 identical boxes, I don't mean the width and height and measurement of the box itself, but the items inside of it. So you can have a mixture of, let's say, 3 different items, and you can have 15 of one of them. You might have 20 of another, and 50 of the last. Those have to be divided equally into 5 boxes. So the item that you had 50 units of and you have 5 boxes, you have to put 10 units in each box. So on and so forth. So they want the contents inside to be equally dispersed, and Amazon will decide the 5 fulfillment centers where your shipment will go to, and you only pay shipping. You do not pay a placement fee. If you're doing a shipment like this where you're only sending in 3 boxes, even if you have the same amount of items exactly in each box, you will still be charged a placement fee because you're only sending in 3 shipments and not 5. Now, when you're dealing with in this scenario today, we're talking about having our shipment go from our Chinese manufacturing company into Amazon. So you then have to weigh the placement fee with the cost of the shipping, if that is worth it to you to do so. Most people end up paying a placement fee and putting everything on a pallet because the cost of shipping from overseas 5 boxes versus, say, a pallet with everything on it is the more cost effective. Ultimately, you just run the numbers because you're not married to the first shipment plan you put in here. You can submit. Amazon will give you that calculation. You don't have to accept it. You can go back and change how that whole delivery looks until you get the cost that is most cost effective to you.
Yes. Perfect. I am trying to find, okay, I wasn't able to find it, but we'll move on. All right. Down at the bottom, once you get all your dimensions and stuff in, you'll hit confirm and continue. Then you will need to select a date on when you're going to get things shipped out. Usually I'm going to ship it out the next day or whatever. Maybe you're going to go ship it out on Friday instead of Tuesday or Monday. You'll put in that. It does not have to be like let's say you plan on doing it tomorrow and then your kid gets sick or something. I don't know. You can't make it the next day. Don't freak out too much about a day or so off on this amount. They're trying to get an idea of when their inventory is going to land for, to show the customers and plan their own scheduling. So don't worry too much if you're going to miss a day, but you do need to put in an estimation day. Down here, it defaults to small parcel delivery. That's going to be your UPS items. If you want truckloads, if you want pallets, you're going to change this to LTL. Oh, here we go. This shows it a little bit better. So you'd select LTL, and that's where you're going to fill out the rest of that page, which is not, I don't think I grabbed a screenshot of that. Maybe I can here in a second. For shipment size, we're going to look at that a little bit. And then we've got UPS and then non-UPS. So let's say you have a FedEx account or you really want to ship your items in via a different carrier for whatever reason. Maybe you get points on your credit card or you get some sort of deal. But 9 times out of 10, UPS is going to be cheaper than anything that you're going to do outside of Amazon. They get a pretty hefty discount. And then truckloads, that's where you're going to have to get a bill of landing and all of that.
If you look up above, if you see there, because this shipment scenario was 3 boxes, as you see, there is the placement fee of $27.32, but the shipping cost is only $8.40. So that's where you have to ask yourself, what would the shipping have been for 5 boxes without the placement fee? Because that placement fee is more than double the cost of shipping. For some people, that's fine and it's worth it. But that is the point I was making of factor in all of your different scenarios and find your best option.
Yes. Okay. I'm on a different screen. I just selected something really quick to grab that. Hold on, let me see if I can grab that real quick. Put our faces back up for a second. Okay. The less than truckload does look very similar. Let's see if I can add that back in. I just grabbed something really quick, but The less than truckload will show you this as well. And in this case, I have everything in one box. So we've got Eastern, Central, and Western and West. Depending on where it's coming from, it's going to show you the cheapest, and it will default to the cheapest scenario, which is nice. It used to not do that. Last year, you had to kind of guesstimate which one was not guesstimate, but go through each one and pick the cheapest one. And it will show you what the less than truckload is. And then let me see. Oops, I've got to be on the right screen. I would have to actually confirm shipping, but once you confirm shipping, that's when you enter in more stuff, more information on your pallet. And it's really not that, like, don't get overwhelmed with it. It's not.
Yeah, just, I always recommend people picking what is the most cost effective. That's the most important to me. Now, when it comes to shipping from Alibaba into Amazon, always your supplier is going to say, oh, we can arrange shipping for you, and we got to deal with our broker. They're going to want to sell you in buying shipping from them. Now, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you have to remember they're also getting a kickback. So maybe the shipping is costing them $400, but they charge you $500. And because, they take a little kickback on that. Amazon offers arranging that shipping from overseas for you. Additionally, you can actually hire your own broker to arrange the shipping for you here stateside. So those would be 3 different quotes you could get. One from what Amazon says it would cost you, one from your manufacturer, and one from a broker. So I do recommend shopping around. I will say I recently helped one of my clients arrange shipping from Alibaba to Amazon. And I believe I shared this 1 or 2 videos ago. Her supplier gave her a quote. We checked it against Amazon. I said, just entertain me and let's just check it. Because she's like, oh, that's fine. I just want to get it over with. And I said, well, let's just check. So we put in this shipment real quickly and had Amazon be the one taking care of all of that. It cost her $2,000 less. $2,000. Like, that is a huge savings. So make sure you check. It is worth your time to do that checking. And then not only that, you get Amazon's protection because the shipping did go through Amazon. So there's something to be said for that as well. If you end up getting a better rate with your supplier, there's an extra step. So with Amazon, if you buy the shipping through them, Amazon automatically has our tracking numbers, just as it is when we do our shipping within our own continent. It's already put in there, the tracking's in there. But if you create the shipment saying that you're going to provide your own shipping, you then have to get the tracking IDs from your manufacturing company. Then you have to go back into your shipment and plug each one of those in to each individual box. You're going to have to copy and paste all those tracking numbers accordingly to the boxes after the fact. So if you do it that way, just make sure, especially if your boxes are not always identical, because I worked with somebody before who did not have all identical boxes. He was selling some type of bag, like a reusable grocery bag thing, and they had different patterns on them. Well, the boxes were not equally mixed. All the cat pattern was in one, all the cloud pattern was in one, so on and so forth. So we had to make sure that we were putting the cat pattern exact tracking number to that box into the Amazon shipment, the cloud pattern tracking to. So you have to really trust that the supplier is giving you accurate data on their end too. Now, before Amazon was really offering this shipping, everybody just had to rely on their supplier doing their shipping. But today you do have more options. So I just wanted to share that.
That is a good point. Yep. All right. Let me go back to this. Perfect. All right. Let's say that you have this and it's going to default to the cheapest one, you can look up and ship to other locations as well. So I don't really see the point in this. I've always just picked the cheapest, but if you really want it to go to the West Coast versus the East Coast, you can make that selection if you want, but it's kind of obsolete now. just ship it to the cheapest place, and then it's going to get dispersed throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about that for a hot second here. Keep going on wrong thing. Your items are going to physically go from China, and they're going to either go by boat or go by air over to the United States and get processed into the United States and then processed into the Amazon warehouse. From there, Amazon takes your items. Let's say you send in 100 glitter teapots. They're going to take those 100 items, and they may have 20 on, let's say they went to the West Coast. They'll have 20 for sale right away on the West Coast. The other 80 are going to be shipped out to Central and the East Coast. And that is going to be an FC. So if you look at your inventory, it will say, in transfer, and it will say FC transfer. That means it's on a truck and it's being trucked or trained, however they get it, truck, train, or plane, over to the other fulfillment centers. So let's say the cupcake glitter toppers land in LA on Monday. If I'm on the West Coast, I might see them for sale and be able to purchase them on Monday. But let's say you live in New York, you may still see that they're not available for sale because you're in New York. So what you can do is, if you're trying to check, you can go in and kind of change your location to the West Coast and see if your product is live on the West Coast. Or if you have a friend or somebody that lives in a different location, just give them a link to your product and say, hey, do you see this available for sale? What does the shipping look like? Does it say that it will get to you in Prime or a couple days out? What does it look like? So don't freak out too much. I've had customers do that. They're like, it landed in the West Coast, but I don't see it for sale yet. And I'm like, well, where do you live? Oh, I live in Timbuktu. Well, it's got to get transferred. Well, how long does that take? You have no freaking idea. I have had fulfillment transfers take 2 or 3 days, up to a week, sometimes 10 days.
New sellers are always very anxious on all the little things. Seasoned sellers are like, it'll be there when it gets there.
Yeah, you kind of don't. I had one guy that wanted to open up a case to have the fulfillment transfer move faster. And I'm like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to do anything for you. I hate to tell you.
Forget it. It'll get there when it's there. Yeah.
You kind of just have to have some patience. All right. Once you get everything locked down, once you hit this accept charges and confirm shipment, then you will be charged. You're only going to be charged the $8.40 to begin with, because that's your shipping fee. You have to pay the $8.40 to get your UPS labels. The placement fees of $27.32 aren't going to happen until Amazon gets the product and they start moving the product around. Then you will see those placement fees start to trickle in on your transaction report. You're not going to see them right away. And this is a little where it gets a little fuzzy, because honestly, I don't know. I've never gone through and be like, okay, they said $27.32. What did I really get charged? I've never done that. I've never matched up to see if their total placement fees actually line up. I would assume they do, but I've never bothered with it. What? Stop crying. My dog is crying. I hope she can't hear it. She came in here and then she wants to leave, of course, like any dog. I want in, I want out. I want in, I want out. All right. In this scenario, we've now clicked yes. I've confirmed I've been charged the $8.40. We have our ship from address up here. It's going to ship out on Monday. We've got our shipment name, shipment ID, the shipment, where it's shipping from, where it's going to. This one's going to go to Port St. Lucie. I'm going to say Lucian, Florida. We've got 33 SKUs, 164 units, all in one box. And if you click this download to print, or want to print box and shipping labels, important, we get 8.5 by 5.5, and then we've got 4 by 6 thermal printers. If you're doing pallets, there will be one more pallet option. You get 3 printing options for pallets. You get 2 for UPS things. Now, this is where it becomes important. I've got a shipping label here. You get 2 labels. So I want to talk about that for just a minute. You can get 2 labels for your boxes. This is important for your manufacturer. The manufacturer has to put both labels on the box. One is for Amazon, because Amazon's going to get that label. They're going to scan it and they're going to say, oh, Tina's shipping in cupcake toppers, and this goes to Tina's account. The other one is for whoever you're paying,
Carrier, your shipping carrier.
shipping company carrier, which in most cases is UPS. But whether that's UPS, FedEx, or there's a bunch of different shipping options in China. There's like a list this long. Whoever is shipping your item, that shows that you paid for it and has the tracking number, etc. on it. So each box is going to get those two labels. Now, if you're doing a pallet, your boxes will get the labels, and then you'll have pallet labels for around the outside as well. So you just got a little bit more labels on doing pallets. But when your manufacturer says, okay, send me over, they're going to ask for two things. They're going to say, send me over the item labels. So if you have item labels or UPC codes, that's what they're asking for that to go on the product. And then the shipping labels, this is what they're talking about. Now, when I'm working with them, I print both the 8.5 by 11 and the 4 by 6 and send them both and say, hey, I don't know which one's easier for you to print, but I've provided both of them. And then usually they'll respond back with, oh, we use the 4 by 6. And then going forward, you can just send out the 4 by 6. If you want to ask them which ones do they want, you can back and forth in that. But I hate going back and forth unnecessarily, and I'll just print them. Same with the pallet labels. I'll be like, hey, I got it 3 different ways, depending on what your printer settings are. Pick which one prints easiest for you. Because the last thing you want to do is like be back and forth on 3 different ways with pallet labels to try and see what they're doing. Because typically you'll be talking to a salesperson or something, and then they go and talk to the person that's actually going to print them out. So you've got the middleman to the floor person, and then it has to go back. And with the time zone differences, it can be it could be a lot. Oops. Let's see here. Let's go back to this. All right. Shipping from China. I suggest that you screenshot this page and just screenshot this. And this is the part that you need here. So an example of a Chinese address that they're going to give you looks like this. And you're going to go, okay, when I go to put in my US address, what box do I put what in? And I broke it down right here. So country, street address, district, am I on the right thing? District, city, province, and zip code is how this lines out. I do not have this memorized. I have to go, and I just have this cheat sheet for that whenever I am dissecting a Chinese address, because I don't remember this, and I don't really care either. Like this is not something that my brain needs to memorize. But go ahead and pause the video, take a screenshot, put that screenshot in your, like SOPs or somewhere where you can go and figure it out later. You can find this on the internet as well. I'm sure ChatGPT will help you fill it out as well. But this has been my go-to for several years now, and I just keep that handy. All right. Did you have anything else for China particularly?
Yes, because when you click that button that says add new address, ship from address, you have to enter in the Chinese information, the name of the company, their address. But then a little further down on the shipping template, you have to, Amazon requires that you enter it with the Chinese characters. And so you're going to have an extra step when shipping from China to the US, adding their address in a second time. And Amazon wants it in the characters of that country. I'm sure that is for the purposes of how things are printed out over there, so their local delivery people can read the labels. So you will have to use AI, at least that's how I do it, or use Google Translate, where you're going to copy and paste the name of the company and ask it to translate it to Chinese. And as you know, they use special characters. You're going to then have to copy and paste those characters into the address. It's going to want you to give them the point of contact, their phone number, their email. And so I usually have it arranged. Whoever my salesperson is that is arranging all this, they're at whatever I want to say warehouse, but that's not the word I'm looking. Manufacturer. I usually put in their contact information, their email, their phone number, because if the delivery driver is picking it up from their business, I need them to be able to answer those messages. So it is very important that you don't miss this step. I don't think there was a screenshot for it of where
I've never come across that, so I'm
oh yeah, you have to do that every time. There's no way around it. And so you have to put that in at the time of building that.
because this is the add new contact.
Yeah, and you would add the new contact up there, the Chinese address. That part is correct. But
Okay.
then further down on your shipment, because that will be the top address, how we normally put it in.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Down
about.
on
Okay.
the shipping area, where then it comes time to buy your labels, it will not let you proceed. You are going to get a red warning, and there's 3 little boxes that go across the top. And so sometimes those can be a little bit confusing, and you have to click. I can't remember what it says right underneath it. There's some sort of edit button, and you have to fill all of those in order for your shipment to proceed. And you will have to translate the our American letter characters into the Chinese characters, and then you will be able to select your ship date and proceed on that shipment.
You're right. We've always just asked the manufacturer to send that over so we can copy and paste, because I don't know. I don't trust translate on that. I just ask them to do it. I'm like, give me this information in your characters.
Yeah, because usually when you're dealing with your manufacturer over there and you already have their contact information, so you already know the address of where everything is going to be picked up, you should already be communicating that with them when you're communicating how many units are in the box, what's the measurement and the weight of the box. In addition, I'm going to need the name, address, location of the company. If they're not available at the time, you can usually through your account in Alibaba with them, take it directly to the manufacturing site, and usually their information is right there online.
Yeah, we have pulled from the website too. It will be on the website. The other thing I would just say for shipping overseas, if you're going through Amazon, it's really easy. If you're not going through Amazon, you need to know the shipping company and some information about, like Tina said, the tracking numbers, etc., to put in, because you're going to need to put that all in. But this is all stuff that would be, communicated between you and the manufacturer. They're going to say it's shipping by ground or ocean. That's the first thing. Is like, is it going to be ground or not? Sorry, ocean or air, not ground, but ocean or air. And then it's going to be, you have to select from a drop-down menu of all of the shipping companies that are over in China. And so that part sometimes people get hung up on, because there's a lot of different ones that you can choose from. And it's, again, a conversation between you and the manufacturer. This is going to be between you two. And you will then get the set of labels for your Amazon products, just one set for each box. And then they'll have the other part. If they're doing the shipping, they'll have that shipping companies, the payment, whatever they're paying for the shipping labels there. So each box will still get 2 labels, but they're handling the one label. And you're just going to give them the Amazon label. All right. We cover everything.
Yep, that is everything.
Okay. It's not like, a lot of people get overwhelmed and they want to make sure that they fill this in correctly. And the 9 times out of 10, the problems that I see is communication between the buyer and the manufacturer, because the manufacturer will be like, send me the labels and then I'll give you the tracking number. And they're like, well, how do I send the labels without doing this? And I'm like, well, search the emails. They should have sent you dimensions. And they're like, okay, yes, but it's in centimeters and kilograms. Okay, we just go to Google and we translate that over into pounds and inches and put that in, and then we're going to generate the labels and then send them back over. It's not as scary as, like, once you do it once, it's really not that bad anymore.
No, usually the biggest hang up is where you have to fill in that address. using the Chinese characters. That's usually the only little hang up, is that little tiny section there.
Yeah. Same with them. Yeah, because they'll ask you like who's the contact, especially for pallets. They'll be like, well, who's the contact at the center? Okay, well, you just ask like who's a good contact name and what's a good contact phone number. A lot of times they've been dealing with this, and they do it for many other sellers. They know which information to put into the emails to go back to us sellers, and you just got to go into those emails and find the information and copy and paste it over. It's sometimes it's broken up, but it's usually there. We can usually find it in their emails. All right. I don't think we have anything else.
That's it today. And so what were we talking about next week in regards to
advertising? Like once your product there, how do we get it launched?
Yeah. So next week we will be talking about advertising and a few simple advertising campaigns that you can set up to just get things rolling.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Well, with that, have a great weekend, everybody. And I hope everything goes well. And I hope all of you are considering getting your own brand, what that may look like, whether you source it here in the US, from overseas, or wherever you want to source your item. I do believe getting your own brand name, your own private label on Amazon is definitely the way to go in 2026 and moving forward.